Alright, so I'm going to try this again. I took down the first video that I made because I watched it again and I didn't really clearly articulate what I would have liked to. So the point I'm really trying to make here is that this dichotomy between free will and determinism is based on a dualism between mind and matter. And, it has its origins in the history of philosophy. But basically, it was most famously articulated by Descartes. We have a mind, which is of a separate substance than the material world, which is a substance upon itself, and the inner mental substance is free. It has a free will, and it is free to represent the world rationally. And it is free to control the body, free to repress the passions or rise above the passions. Whereas the material world is determined, and there's this constant battle between the free mind and the determined world for control. And I think if we're going to get rid of free will, we have to get rid of this whole package, because free will and determinism are a package. The only way that determinism makes sense is if there is a mental substance which is free. So there's no free will in the sense that there's a controller of the body that is free of the conditioning of our biology or our culture. But we cannot then side with determinism and say that everything is determined, because determinism no longer makes sense outside of the context of this original dichotomy. So I think what we need to do is shift the framework entirely. Instead of thinking of there being a dualism between mind and matter, between myself and the world, we start thinking in terms of something more open to the possibility of evolution. The idea of evolution never really was factored into this mind versus matter dichotomy. When you do factor in evolution, it appears that over time matter becomes more complex and develops into organic life, and over time organic life further develops, and out of that emerges mind and self-awareness and language. And so there's no dualism between mind and matter. Mind is just an emergent property of matter. So it's not a separate substance. It's just a new organization of the same essential components. And I think a better dichotomy, if we have to have one, for this type of an evolutionary view is habit and novelty. Habits are those evolutionary characteristics which have won out over time and have remained relatively stable, and novelty is that element of mutation or creativity that allows any change to occur at all. If everything really were determined, I don't think we would expect there to be any evolution, any change. It would just be the same patterns repeating over and over and over again. But we don't see that in nature. We see this in this trend towards complexity or towards novelty.